Hello and welcome to another edition of Conversations of the Heart. As always, it is your boy T-Tail. Again, we have a very special guest. I always affectionately say that she is the resident therapist here. We have Jane Johnson Wall, and by now, whoever has watched the show, you know who this is. You know who this is. Um, I affectionately call her doctor. She is a wealth of knowledge. She has taught me more about perinatal health than I probably would have ever known in my life. I can
Mhm.
promise you that. We just last week we did part one of our show that we did call "What's the Goal?" and we're doing
That
it
was awesome.
part two now. And it is about relationships. It is about what is the goal of these relationships. I know last time we really spoke on, about, lack of compromise and how that affects the relationships, pride and ego, mental health and selfishness. We got into all of that and we're going to
All of it.
continue the conversation. But before we get started, as always, Jane, please introduce yourself to the people who don't know you, and I don't know who doesn't know you by this point. But for the
Oh,
people who might be new to the podcast, because
new people
we
coming on. Yeah.
expect a lot of subscribers and new people to keep pouring in. So for the people who may have missed you, please tell them a little bit about yourself and what you have going on.
Awesome. Thank you. My name is Jane Johnson Wall, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work in a handful of different states doing therapy with women and moms and with couples around the transition to being parents, right? Going from partners to parents. I also work with a colleague, Kelsey Mazel, and we do trainings for therapists around the perinatal mental health space. And we also have a lot of freebie options and resources for moms and for couples. Our goal is really to help people feel supported and to tie people to resources. If we can be the resource, great, but we're always happy to help people find resources. And and I feel so lucky. We've talked about this before. I feel so lucky to love what I do because that is not something that everyone has available to them.
Mm,
So I love my work, but I also love my life outside of work. My primary role is always as mom, even though at this
hmm
point my kids are 23 and 22 and out of college and into law school and all of those things. But
Wow.
that is always my main focus for myself. And then overall, just kind of spending time, outside, enjoying the weather. You and I were just talking about the humidity, but I'll take
hmm
it because it's not snow.
That is true. Very,
Uh,
very true.
uh-huh,
I don't miss
uh-huh.
those days. I don't
I
miss the snow,
know.
not one bit.
No.
Speaking of Kelsey, we really got to try to get her on the show one time.
Can I tell you, I had a huge treat to have her with me. We got to spend about 20 hours together. She left this morning, and I was like, oh man, if she had stuck around, we would have been able to do it. So we will have to schedule
Yeah,
and we will coordinate and we'll get Kelsey
I
in on this.
I feel like she's running from me, but we're gonna get you, Kelsey. We are gonna get you. Don't run from conversations of the heart. It's coming for you
No,
too.
no, absolutely.
Wonderful. So, let's just dive right in. Dating.
Yeah.
Dun
Oh
dun
Lord,
dun.
we were
Dun
just talking about
dun.
that.
So there's so many different complexities of the dating world now, right? I
So
mean,
complex.
much different from, back in the day, right? I feel back in the day was a lot more simpler, right?
Yes.
Than it is today, right? Now there's apps, right?
Mhm.
Of course, dating apps have been around for a while. I think a little bit
Yeah.
earlier there were dating websites, right? That turned out and they're
Yes.
now dating apps, right? Um, Now there are new apps, right? Where I think it's called the T app now. I think it's where you can actually, it's a really toxic, and I don't like to use that word too, but it's a real toxic place from what I understand. But it's where you can actually see people, and I guess I don't think it's a rating system, but it's more so you can go on there and see if your person, your guy, is living a double life, right?
Oh
Um,
man.
and people are like, you know, if you have a guy and he's on that app, it's like the women are there are like, oh yeah, I'm dating this same guy. it's a
Oh,
weird,
yeah.
it's a weird place, in
Yes.
this dating world, right? And then now the guys in turn created a rival app, right,
Hmm.
to now put the women on blast, right, to say,
Yeah.
oh well, look at her history, or look at, if she's on this app, she's cheating on it. It is an amazing time here to be dating, right? There's a lot of stuff that is
Absolutely.
going on. Um, people sometimes don't meet organically anymore. It's very much kind of like, swipe left, swipe right, up, down,
Yes.
right. I know a lot of people who've used apps to find love, and some of it has worked out, right?
Yes.
A lot of it
Yeah.
has not.
Hmm.
Um, and people used apps for different things, right? And so the state of dating, I've realized, um, the younger kids are saying, the dating pool has pee in it, right? That's what they're saying. They're like, the dating pool has pee in it.
The,
I don't want to
the
be in it.
younger kids say that, and I'm going to tell
And
you the older folks say it too.
so everybody's complaining, right? I think,
Yeah.
I've seen on social media everyone say like, "Oh, in my state, we need a new batch of men. Oh, the LA men. Oh, the Vegas men. Oh, the New York men.
I-
Oh, the Chicago
Yep.
men. Oh,
Yeah.
this man. Everybody has
The Boston
problems,
men,
right?
all of it. Yeah. No, everybody.
All of
Hmm.
it, right? Men have their complaints too, right? So,
Justified. Absolutely.
everybody's complaining, right?
Everybody's complaining.
So for me, right, I'm always saying, okay, so there's a lot of complaints, but what's the solution, right?
Hmm.
Where are we going wrong with dating? Um, what could we be doing differently? And what is the goal,
What is the goal?
right?
Well, and what is the goal for the participants in the pool, and what is the goal for the dating apps?
hmm Yeah, people use
Ah,
dating apps for
right.
different reasons and for
Well,
different
well,
goals.
no, oh, no, I'm talking about the companies,
Oh, the companies.
right?
Ooh, that's a
The
good question.
companies.
Oh, yeah. Now
Oh,
that's the
they tell
question.
you that their goal is to help you find your oh so special someone forever and
hmm
ever. But is that really it?
mm
Because it's so complex. Algorithms, that it is so complex. And so that's a whole other layer to the complexities of dating in general and meeting new people and being able to figure out how to vet people. And then when we look at all of the catfish, slash scammer sorts of things that come into play with
hmm
the apps and how that impacts people's experience, it's
mm
fascinating.
mm.
It's horrifying, but it's fascinating.
That's very true too, right? And that is an interesting question, because what is the goal for the companies, right? Um, and I think, but that is a loaded question, because that's, on one hand, is what is the goal of the company, and the other hand is, what are the goal truly for the people who are using the apps, right? Like the people who are actively using the apps, what are their goals, right? To get out of
Uh,
the experience, right? Some people
yes,
are just there for physical intimacy, right? Some people are there
absolutely.
for scamming, I might add,
Yeah,
right? To
yeah,
scam people out of whatever it is that they're trying to
absolutely.
get, right? And then there are people there for love, right?
Mhm. There are.
Um,
Yeah.
and so with all of these variables, right? There's always vulnerables, right? People who are vulnerable in these processes, right? Who want love, right? Who are matched with scammers, who want love but are matched with people who just want sex, right?
Yeah.
Or there are two people who want love, right? But view love differently, or have issues and certain
Yeah.
traumas and things, right? There hasn't really been, right, an app, I feel, right, that has weeded a lot of this stuff out, right?
Hmm.
And it has gotten to the nitty gritty of why two people are there for, right?
Right.
Because somebody always gets in, someone's always scamming, someone always catfishing, it's a weird place to be, and it's a dangerous place to be. I think especially for
It
women who are dating too, right? I mean, that there's dangers, a lot of
absolutely,
that, and meeting up with strangers,
absolutely.
And all of the
Yeah.
things I tell my friends, hey, listen, if you're going to go meet somebody, just tell me where you are. Shoot me a
Yeah.
location, like
Yeah.
let me know
Yeah.
you're
No,
okay,
absolutely.
like because I don't know, it's tough out here. Um,
There are some great strategies for that men and women, can both
mhm,
benefit from in being able to kind of have the layers of security as you get to know somebody. Yeah, it's
mhm.
important.
So let's let's peel back the layers a little bit. Like let's go back. Dating, right? Let's just talk
Mhm.
here. Beyond the apps, beyond all
Yeah.
of these things, dating. Where are we going wrong? Where are people going wrong in this process, right? Because even if you meet somebody organically at the supermarket, the vegetable aisle, hey, right? And you hit it
Hmm.
off. Okay, still people are not getting it right, right? I mean, we
Absolutely.
can't even get to the divorce rate, right? I mean, it's high, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
in the inception of the dating process, right, where are we going wrong? I have my thoughts, but I want to hear
Okay.
from the subject matter expert. Where are we going wrong?
I mean, and this will not be lost on you, right? The irony. I think it's because we are just not always very self-aware,
Hmm.
or we are not self-aware within the context of relationship. So people are often, aware and have insight into who they are professionally, who they are within the context of friendship.
Mm,
But when we look at our connection to a significant other, a partner, we base our idealized image. We all have like an image of who our perfect partner is. And that is based in so many different things. In part, it's based with our early caregivers and the positive experiences we have, but
mm,
it's also based in our caregivers and some of the unpleasant experiences that we have. And I don't even mean in a horrific abuse trauma way.
hmm,
We just There are connection components with our parents or caregivers when we are young that we don't have a lot of power and influence within those dynamics. So if we have a father who is gone and works a lot, right? And so
hmm,
we don't feel like we have enough time as a child. And again, this is through the lens of a child as far as what their experience of a parent being unavailable actually is, right? Like we
mm,
don't even have to get caught up in, was the parent really unavailable? How much of it was necessary? We don't even have to get caught up in that. Just the child's experience of feeling like they weren't a priority for their parent. So now they are within the context of adulthood, the context of their own identity, the context of who they are within the framework of a relationship. And so, if I potentially have an idealized view of a partner as somebody who is hardworking and has a strong work ethic,
mm,
but now through the adult mind, I'm like, but now I have control over how much they work. Now, right? I'm not the little kid waiting for my father. Now I have some influence over it. So you can find yourself in a relationship with a partner who is working a lot or absent in whatever kind of way. And it's like you find yourself there. You know how people say, oh, it's like you've become a parent, your parent, like you've become
hmm,
your mother
hmm,
or you're dating your father. Um,
hmm,
it's sometimes through that context of what's
mm,
familiar and what
mm,
feels like you have influence. And so it's like these are some of the things that sometimes we set ourselves up for a bit of failure
mm,
within the context of a relationship.
mm,
And the activation that comes up for us around the vulnerability of an intimate relationship, a partner, as opposed to the vulnerability of a friendship, the vulnerability of a working relationship, it's just different. We get activated in a very, I don't want to say primitive way, but primitive way. We get activated very differently when it comes to the vulnerability of a partner.
mm.
So we think we know what we want,
Mm.
and we kind
Mm.
of don't know what to do with it when it comes our way.
Mm. I mean, that's great points. And I think you speak to a lot of times on it's and some of it could be unaddressed trauma, right? I think
Yeah. Oh,
that's a
absolutely.
lot of it too, right? And I also think that when it comes to where we go wrong in dating, right? I think there's this idea, right? Like when you first meet someone, right? And again, that's why I say what's the goal, right? And I'm going to get a little bit raw here, right? But I think when you first meet someone, there's this rush of adrenaline, right? You meet someone, they're
Absolute
beautiful
dopamine hit.
or
Yeah,
handsome. It's a
absolutely.
great time,
Yeah,
right? And a lot of people focus on the fun part. Hey, you know what? This person's fun. We like hiking. We have the same color blue. Like he or she
yeah,
is my favorite zodiac sign. Like yes, right?
yes,
Like everything
yes,
is like everything's flowing, right? She likes
yeah,
brunch. He likes steak. Oh, it's
yes,
just amazing thing, right? Right, and I think we fall in love with fun too much,
yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
and I don't mean and believe me, I believe in fun. Because I gotta preface that I believe in fun.
Yeah,
You have to have a partner that you can have fun and do things with, right? But what I find is also right what comes with the fun, and it's like, oh, like we have so many of these fun things in common, right? Or these things that we attach, right? And when I see or spend time with this person, it's great, right?
yeah,
It's like we're living on a cloud, and to a point, it is, right?
it is. Yeah,
But then there comes the intimacy part, right? And then it's almost like, excuse me, I get too excited. We're like locked in, right? We're
yeah,
like now we're locked in, right? And it's like, oh, well, she's mine, he's mine. Like that's just it, right? Right.
yeah,
But that intimacy part, right, kind of gets people sucked in a lot quicker, faster,
absolutely.
right?
Lots of hormones.
It's
Yeah,
rapid,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
It's rapid. But I feel that people have a easy time, right, getting naked than they do, right, being really naked, right?
I was
And
just gonna say, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. You're
right
spot on.
because and what I mean by that is it's easy getting naked and being intimate with someone. That's the easy part, right?
Yeah.
People will allow you in that way, no pun intended,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
But they won't allow you in,
a-
right?
absolutely.
They won't allow you in, right? So
Hmm.
until now people now you're having fun. Now you're 60, 70 days in, could be 90 days in, 100 days in, whatever that time comes.
Yeah.
And life hits.
Ah, spot
Something
on. Yeah.
happens.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
don't know
You're no
what that
longer
could
in
be,
this isolated bubble. Hmm.
right? Yes. And this person doesn't react in the way that you thought he would or she would,
Hmm.
right? It's like, wait, I thought he would have been there for me. I thought she would have been there for me. What's going on? Oh, well, you didn't know that when hard times come, this person is a runner. They're a track star. They're out of here, right? You didn't take time to get to know this person on a vulnerable level. You didn't take the time to get naked with this person. Oh, you got naked with them, but you didn't really get naked with
Yeah,
them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
There's no
Absolutely.
vulnerability, right? With like, it's easy, right, to do the fun things, right? But it's harder for me to sit across from you and say, there's an abandonment issues, or I have grief, I'm going through grief, or I have
Yeah.
daddy issues, I have mommy issues, I have things that are going on with me, right? Like it's
Mhm.
those aren't the easy conversations, right? Those aren't the fun
Well, I
conversations,
was
right?
just gonna say, there's nothing sexy about childhood trauma, right? Like the
No.
conversations. Yeah, no, it's not. So if we're looking at that idea of the adrenaline that comes with fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how that serves as such a big connection. I mean, that's why, on the show, it's like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's why people go on these amazing adventures because
Mm-hmm.
that is going to fuel a sense of connection, particularly
Yes.
when they're like these crazy thrill sorts of adventures. It fuels a sense of connection. And so that's what hormones do. It
Yeah.
it makes us feel like we have something more significant
Mm-hmm.
than it actually is. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're right that when you kind of peel back the layers and life starts happening, and that can be just daily life, or it can be
Mm-hmm.
again, life circumstances come up, and it can be really hard to have a sense of how that person shows up. Um,
Hmm. And so how many of us have married or ended up have marrying a shell, right? Where that shell is beautiful. Like it's beautiful on the
mhm,
outside. It presents itself to be beautiful, but it's hollow on the inside, right?
mhm.
But how many of us would marry an onion, right?
Right, right.
Where it kind of smells. Like onions kind of smell,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
when you cook them, it tastes good, though, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
but also when we peel it back, what do we do with onion? Peel it back. We peel back
yeah. That.
layers, right?
Mhm.
And in a relationship, and as we're dating, since we're talking about dating, to a relationship, to an engage, to a marriage,
Yes,
right?
right,
So
right.
there's
Yeah, if
layers
that's the
to that,
goal,
right? So there's a
yes,
layer that like that marriage is an onion too, because there's layers to that. There's the dating, right? There's
absolutely.
the friendship, the dating, the courting,
Mhm.
right? Then there's the relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend. Then there's the engagement part. Then there's the marriage, right? So a lot of us aren't peeling back those layers when we're
Mhm.
dating, right? Which now what we're doing is now since we've have an attachment now to this person for a year, right?
Yeah,
Now what we're trying to do is double back and then trying to peel back those layers. And a
yeah,
lot of times
backfill,
that doesn't
absolutely.
work, right? A lot of times
Mhm.
these people, some people are who they are. Now I believe in change, and I believe in
Sure.
people
Oh, sure.
who
Yeah.
want to actively change, right? But there's work that has to be done, right, individually, right? And I think sometimes when we're in this dating phase, we don't peel back layers, right? We look at the shell, right? We look at the fun, and we're like, this is my person, right? We have a lot
Mhm.
of surface level things in common, right?
I,
But
that's what I was going to say. I think the surface
yeah,
is the piece. What I talk about is the idea that you need to explore the values piece, right? Like I
mm,
like hiking, you like hiking, fantastic, right? Like that's great. And if I'm someone who values hiking or physical activity, like we've got to dial it back. If I'm somebody who values this physical activity and being outdoors, and one person values that and they like to hike, and the other person's like, I don't like to hike. I value my outdoors time, right? Like, I don't know, water skiing. And so the value of prioritizing lifestyle that embraces physical activity and outdoors, that's a common value, although it may present in different ways for them. It could be that they value hiking or both have a common overlay of hiking, but it doesn't have any depth to it. It's we like the same thing. I say to people, it's like little kids, right? When little kids meet and it's like, you're playing Legos. I like Legos. Let's be friends, right? Like
mhm.
it's just it's total surface, total surface,
It's very surface.
and
Mm,
it works for little kids. It does
hmm.
not work. I mean, I guess it can work for adults through a very specific lens, but
Yeah.
if you're using your shared love of Legos as the foundation, irony, the foundation for building
Hmm.
a life together, you're gonna need a lot more than a
Right.
shared love of Legos. Yeah.
Right. And I think sometimes when in life, sometimes I think it doesn't happen to people. It could be for a long time. So a lot of times people could be on a high for 2 or 3 years, get married,
Oh,
engaged,
absolutely.
get married, then all of a sudden life hits, real things happen, and then you see how somebody reacts. And you're like, well, this isn't the person that I know. And it's like, yeah, that is the person
Yeah.
that you know, right? That is the person that
Hmm.
you know. You just
You just
like
haven't seen this.
you just
Yeah.
have not seen it, right? And you didn't have
Oh,
conversations, right? To really dive deeper into that, right? It was very much so, man, we're going hiking on Sunday, we're doing brunch on Saturday. We like the same things, like we root for the same sports teams, right? But I didn't know that the person I'm taking that I take these hikes with really will take a hike when times get really rough.
get tough.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
Like, where did he go? And now you're back in the dating pool upset, right?
Mm.
Because you're like, I can't
Yes.
believe this and I can't believe that all men are this and all women are this.
Oh,
And and
oh,
and and,
yes.
and it becomes a thing, but it's like, did you do your due diligence? And I always like to say, start with you first. Like the account,
Mm.
it's
Hmm.
always the other person. It's always man. It's
Yeah.
always the woman. It's
Yep.
always that. I get it.
Them.
But for
Yeah.
me, it's like, what did Terrence miss? What did I do? Or what could I have done a little bit better? Did I not see certain things? Did I not dive a little deeper?
That
And
reflection.
I'm like this
Yes.
about my, and you know this very well. I'm like this about me,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
it's more so, okay, so what did I miss? Now, once I go through that process, the person is going to be who they're going to be. But my thing is,
Yeah.
what did I do? Right? Or didn't do, right? Or what could I have done more of, right? To really see these things, sort these things out, right? Did we have enough deep diving conversations? Did we talk about trauma? Did we talk about childhood trauma? Did we talk about grief? Did we talk about triggers?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because triggers is one thing that comes up in relationships and dating that people respond very differently to. And
Absolutely. Well, and people are triggered by different things, right?
and that's what I
So,
mean.
so
And yeah.
there's, oh, and the reaction to it. I, it's funny, I was thinking that idea of, as you were saying, we don't know who that person is within like this sort of context. And we also, I feel like we avoid finding out. So let's stick with the hiking example, right? So let's do a nice, easy, hike around a lake, right? Like simple, holding hands, whatever. It's lovely. And then how many times can you do that when if one person is a true hiker and they're like, no, like I need like my hike, right? Like I want to be slipping, I want to be, like navigating through rougher terrain. But I know that the person that I'm with doesn't want that experience. And if hiking is our thing, then I need to scale back my hike.
Mm,
And right there, right? It's
mm,
like I'm changing my behavior. I'm not
hmm
showing up in an authentic way, saying, whatever, I love hiking with you. And I also need to go on some different hikes. I'm part of a hiking club. I want to be able to still do that, right? And for the other person to say, my hikes or walks through the woods, I'm not interested in that. What does it look like for them to have that conversation?
mm,
Because what often happens is that somebody will sacrifice what they truly want because at least I found somebody who likes to do some sort of hiking. And
hmm
if this stuff was only about hiking, it wouldn't be an issue, right? These are about the bigger, more significant things where people don't speak up. They're
hmm
not honest about what they actually need because they don't want to deal with the potential conflict.
mm,
And so this is where over time, as you
hmm
identified, right? Like how many months down the road, and then something bigger happens. And
hmm
it's like you're realizing that your person is a truly hiker. They're going to hike right off the path. They're set with you. But
hmm
being able to recognize that we need to be able to have some of the self reflection that you're talking about. We need to have some of that throughout the connection, right? Like,
Yes.
what's coming up for me? Am I being true to myself? Right? Am I
Yes.
advocating for myself? Am
hmm
I asking questions? Because that's, you are a very curious person. You are very driven with wanting to know.
hmm
But many people are like, no, I'd rather make up my mind about who this person is as opposed to asking them and finding out that that's not who they are.
Right. And that's the most amazing thing about what you said is people would rather up here say, I got it figured out versus the
Oh,
honest versus
absolutely.
like being honest and saying, I don't know. But then
Mhm.
I'm afraid to
Absolutely.
know, right? Because it may not work
Mm.
out. Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lying right there is a trigger and a disappointment because how am I going to react if something doesn't work out? Right. Oh, another failed
Mhm.
relationship. Oh, another failed dating
Right,
experience. Up,
right.
up, this and that.
Hmm.
Right. And I think, when it comes to the accountability piece, I always look and say, yes, self-reflection is always key for me in these situations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's to me that's a necessary thing because even a red flag for me is if I meet someone, right? Because this always happens, right?
Yeah.
Two people get together and they bash
Yes.
their last person, right? And
Oh,
it's always
oh.
about
Mm,
the other person's always wrong. She's always she did this, he did that. For me, if I can get with someone, have a conversation, and talk about, okay, so look, everybody has shared experience, lived experiences, and shared experiences.
yeah.
Mm-mm, that's fine. I want to hear about them, right? But I also want to hear what you could have done better.
Yes. Yes.
And if you can't tell me
Right?
that,
If you can't tell me that, that tells me everything.
we
If you can't tell me that, you've told me everything. Right? Absolutely. I mean, kind of piggybacking off of that, the idea that people can so readily identify everything that their partner did wrong
mm-hmm,
or everything that was wrong about them, if you don't have that insight and awareness into who I was, how I showed up,
mm-hmm,
it leaves you so vulnerable. So one of the, examples that I share with people is if you have a partner
mm-hmm,
who doesn't text or call or communicate in a way that works for you, right? So
mm,
people have a different baseline for communication. It's a common one. And
yes,
so if you have a partner that you feel like you're chasing them down or they send one word answers or whatever, right? And you're like, I need more communication. So the relationship ends and maybe it was about the communication. It was probably about other things, but the communication piece is still a variable. So then you meet the new person and the new person is a communicator. So that new person is text me when you're leaving, text me when you get home, text me when you're leaving the gym, text me when you're
mm,
out with your friends, text me when all of a sudden that pendulum has swung. You had the person who didn't communicate at all, and now you've got this, Prince Charming who's going to communicate so much, and you're
mm,
not seeing how controlling it is, right? Because now
ooh,
the
ooh,
switch flips, right?
oh,
I
oh,
told you
mm-hmm,
to text me when you got to the gym. Who'd you meet at the gym? Nobody, right? Like I went to the gym at the same time I always go to the gym, right? But
oof,
it's this sort of thing that it becomes a controlling behavior.
mm,
And so that's where it's important for us to say, if this previous partner, their communication style didn't match mine, that's important to know.
mm-hmm,
But what else about the relationship, right? Like what else wasn't a fit? Because it probably isn't just the communication. How did I advocate for myself? Did I address with this partner? Here's what I feel like I need for communication. Or was it just, you don't communicate with me enough? Or maybe I just held on to the resentment.
mm,
And so you need to have that awareness about what truly feels like a good baseline communication for you.
mm, mm-hmm,
So that then when you meet the next person and they are an over communicator, potentially
mm,
somebody who's controlling,
mm,
that you are dialed into that where you're like, this this is potentially more communication than I would need as a baseline. It's
mm-hmm,
not inherently a rule out, but it's a talking point, right? Like you need to have that self-reflection throughout the experience, not just make it so that you're like, okay, well, whatever, this is what they want, so this
mm-hmm,
is what I'll do, because it's not sustainable. At some point, it's like the elastic band can only stretch so far, and at some point it snaps.
mm,
And if you have kind of given up your needs to prioritize another person's needs and not been able to have a conversation about that, at some point it's going to snap and it's not going to be pretty. That's how
mm.
resentment builds.
That is how resentment builds, and resentment can last for a very long time.
Oh,
And the one thing, okay, so all right, I'm gonna go here. So
please.
so so when it comes to women, please bear with me, right?
Yeah, no, listen,
I have I've
nobody's
been
innocent
I
completely in
have
this.
been blessed to have
Absolutely.
a lot of friends. I've been blessed to speak to a lot of women in my life who have dated and have, successfully, not successfully, just all different scenarios.
Yeah.
And where I say accountability is key. especially
Mhm.
when it comes to women, right?
Mhm.
And dating. A lot of times women want what they want, how they want it,
Yeah.
when they want it, right? And then especially when it comes to dating and men,
Mhm.
right? It's this thing of like, I've been with this gentleman for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And or whatever the case is, how many long that you've been with this
Yeah.
gentleman. And it's like, I've worked so hard to make him the man that he is, right? And I'm not going to let that go so another woman can benefit from my hard work. And I've been in it and I'm in the trenches and it's I know him and it's better. The devil I think it's like
Oh, the
the
devil you
devil I
know is better
know
than
is
the
better
devil
than
you
the angel I
don't.
don't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there's this thing of I want this, right? I
Mhm.
want this thing to
Yeah.
work because I want it to work because I've done this and I've done that and I'm holding on to it
Yeah.
for dear life and this is mine, right? And it's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
is that the best scenario for your life though? Like, is this the
Mhm.
person that you're gonna marry? Is this the person that you want to marry? Are you two equally yoked? Are you guys, is this really where you're supposed to be? Right? Or is it a pet project that you want to see
Oh, yeah.
come
Yeah.
through,
Yeah.
right? To a success, right? You don't want to let it go,
Mhm.
right? Because now he might go off and flourish and be with somebody else. Well, that could be true,
Mhm.
but so would you.
Sure.
But so will
Right.
you.
Right.
But you
Yeah.
can't see that because you want this thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, one, even the way that sounded, right, is off because yes, I put in so
Mhm.
much work and I did this. Well, that sounds like a very lopsided relationship. That sounds like you're putting in a lot more work, right, than the opposition, right?
Yeah.
But maybe, just maybe, you're trying to make this person be a version of himself that maybe that's not even who he is or who he wants to be. Oh, he needs to be an entrepreneur. He needs to open a business. Maybe or maybe he's perfectly okay with working his 9 to 5 and being that person and or being a teacher or being this. Oh no, but I see so much for
Yeah.
him and I see this and I want this. Okay, now if we pull that back, there's a lot of eyes here. I,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like sometimes it's like you're ruining your own dating experience and blaming him for it,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
it's just like he should have been let go a long time ago, right? But you're holding on to it. This is your project. This is your baby,
Mhm.
right? This is what you said that you want, but is that the best for you in your life,
Mhm.
right? And that is
No.
sometimes my question that I ask women sometimes is this really what the best for you in your life? I know you tell me everything you've done. You tell me 10 things you've done. I mean, it's ad nauseum how much stuff you have. You kept a grocery list of things you've done, which you're not supposed to do in relationships. You're not supposed
No,
to
you're
keep count,
not. Yeah.
but you have, right? So now I know that there's resentment there, right?
Absolutely.
So
Oh.
the question is he ruining your experience? Is he the problem? Or reflectively, are you the problem in terms of what you're allowing, right? And
Mhm.
what you're holding on to, right? Like that's the thing of it is sometimes we hold on for things for too long and not know how to let go,
Absolutely. Go.
right? And that's a
Absolutely.
part of the dating experience a lot. It's just
Yeah.
we hold on to things that we should let go. And then we're emboldened about it because we've been with this person for a year and I don't want to start over. I've invested. I've heard that so much. I've invested in and it's like, okay, you're saying that with a lot of vitriol, first of all, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But that was a choice,
Yeah.
right? If I choose to
Yep.
invest in a stock, I'm not getting a return on my investment. Is that the stock's
Right?
fault or is that my fault? Because I'm expecting, I'm keep investing in this thing, expecting for it to possibly have that return, possibly. But it has not shown me.
Yeah.
It has not,
No,
it,
I
it hasn't done well
that's a great
historically,
parallel.
right? It
Yeah.
hasn't done well historically. But my expectations, Terrence's expectations said, well, I think it might. I think but
Mhm.
I'm all in. I've invested $10,000 into this stuff. It's got to
Yeah.
turn around sometime. And it's like, does it though? Or are you going to keep? When are you going to call it? When are you going to take your power back and say, you know what?
I was, oh, I
It's a
was just going to
lesson.
say that we give our power away. We give our power away.
So again, I look at, is it because if I invest $10,000 into the stock and I'm not getting ROI, I can't blame them. I gotta
Yeah.
blame me and say, and I have to know when to stop investing.
Well, and I was going to
It's a
say
me thing.
that I think is that's the key. It's it, independent of where the fault may lie, right? Like who knows?
Yes, yes.
But it is the idea of saying, do I want to continue to be in a loop where I complain about this? Or do I want to be in a loop where I say, let me make some intentional decisions? I don't have
Mm,
to sell all the stock overnight, right?
mm.
Maybe I sell half of it. Maybe I decrease how I'm managing it, right? Like
Yep.
that idea of the definition of insanity is doing the
Mm-hmm.
same thing over and over and expecting a
Mm-hmm.
different result.
Yep.
And that is a common piece that comes into play for so many things in life where we are almost like blinded to our behavior and our role in things, that we are looking at the attachment that we have to the outcome. And I was thinking with that example of, I see all of these things for him. I've done all of these things for him. And it's like he gave up his power by allowing somebody to take over certain aspects of his life. And so it's like however they've gotten to that point, they need to figure out, what do we look at doing now? What's the I can't think of it. Something to the effect of, the longer you stay on the wrong train, the more expensive it will be to get back home,
Perfect.
right? Just because you've invested a lot of time, effort, and energy into a mistake, it doesn't mean that you have to keep making it, right? At some
You
point,
don't.
you can cut your losses and say, how did I get here? How was it that I felt so
Mm-hmm.
invested in someone else and what they were doing? And what do I want to do moving forward? Where do I have to identify what the difference is between supporting someone and their goals and their
Mm-hmm.
visions versus me kind of taking that over and recognizing that I was working harder than the other person
Right.
towards them achieving their goals.
And there's, but there's also a level of entitlement there too, right? Because whatever you do
Mm-hmm.
for someone should be selfless, right? And if
Oh,
and if
absolutely.
and if you're
Yes.
keeping
Yeah.
tabs, right, it's because you're looking for an outcome that you want to see, right? And so
Absolutely.
sometimes it's like, are you doing this for them, or are you doing this for you because you want the
Well,
outcome, you
yeah,
want certain things, right? So again, who's doing dating wrong? Is it the other person, or is it you? Right? But the story is
right?
going to be the other person, though. And that's my problem. The
Absolutely.
story is always
Well, the
going to be the other
sacrificial,
person.
yeah. And I did so much,
And
right?
I'm
And
not going to
I
make.
always, and
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
and I never, and I, right? And it does, it becomes our internal narrative from a
Mm-hmm.
protective place, right? Like, I mean, whatever, as humans, it can be difficult to acknowledge decisions that we've made that were, loosely defined,
Yeah.
but wrong, right? Decisions that we made that didn't bring the desired outcome. And so I think that also fits with the idea of how long we've stayed, right? Like how much we've invested in continuing to make that mistake. And it's like, yeah, no, this other person didn't appreciate me. You and I were talking about appreciation recently, right? That this person didn't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate me, and it's like, okay, but what is it about you that has you feeling like you need to be appreciated by other people? What is
Mm-hmm.
it about you that has potentially an overinvestment in other people and a lack of awareness for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes easier to see what's going on in somebody else's life as opposed to seeing what's going on in your own.
Exactly. And I feel like if people can identify their own stuff, then dating might be a little bit easier, because then you will have boundaries for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so then at this point, you'll be a little bit more aware of what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate, and what is for you and what is not for you,
For
right?
you.
Because even
Absolutely.
though the divorce rate is 50%, right?
Hmm.
That from the dating phase, you never had a shot.
Yeah.
From that point
Yeah.
in the dating phase that you didn't recognize, you didn't have a shot, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I think if people can get a hold of what they're looking for, really, what's the point of dating, right? What's the goal, right? And I get what the goal is, right? A lot of people, they want the marriage. We get it.
I,
That's the goal,
I was
right?
going to
The
say, yeah,
goal
no,
is
that
marriage,
people have
right?
different
Well, for
goals.
some,
Yeah.
and for
Yep.
most,
Yeah, I know. Well, I
there's
mean,
a
I think
goal.
through the societal lens,
Yes.
that's what we view, right? That people are dating with the intention of finding a partner, which is typically through the lens of getting married.
And also, I beg to ask the question, is the goal marriage or is the goal a wedding?
Well, uh,
I think
such a great
that's
point.
two different
Such a great
things,
point. They
right?
are two different things.
And I feel like sometimes after the wedding, the marriage is doomed,
Yeah.
right?
Well, if people invested in their marriage
But
the
that's what I
way they
mean.
invest in their weddings, yeah, right? Like, and so that's the thing. Everybody loves a good party. I love
Yeah,
a good
I
party.
love one
Everybody loves a
too.
good party.
Yes.
Right? Like, what's not great about a good party?
Yes.
And so that's the challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. We get distracted in the superficial things. I like this plateware from, Crate and Barrel, and right? Like those sorts of things. Like, oh, we like the same dishes. And so
Yeah.
look, this is a sign that we're meant to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think you bring up such a good point. If people could be a bit clearer, it is interesting. I feel like I hear this, I don't want to say more from men, maybe it's just that men talk about it, that men often feel like they not are forced into marriage, but that they're in a relationship. And it's like, and it was like, well, this was the next step. Like they felt like, it was the expected piece. And so they were kind of disconnected from how they actually felt about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't, how do I feel about being in a marriage relationship with this person. It was more about, well, if this is how long we've been together and
Might
now
as
all of
well.
our friends are getting married,
Something to
it's
do.
like, this is what we're supposed to do.
Right. And it's just like, all right, well, tell me how much it is. And all right, cool. Right. It has
Yeah.
this thing, right? Um, because it's just like it's become, all right, it's just the wedding. It's for her, right?
Mm,
The most successful, I think, marriages that I've seen from men have been when they've told me that the wedding was for them as well. Right.
mm,
When they weren't disconnected from the wedding, where it was like,
yeah.
no, like this is ours, right? Not just hers, this is ours, right? Like we're taking, like this is our thing that we're doing together versus, this is for her, this is about her. I'm just here. Like
Hmm.
it's pretty much, I don't know if you're familiar, but the football player Marshawn Lynch said a line one time. He said, I'm just here so I won't get fined." Right? Because I
Oh,
think he didn't want to talk to reporters, but he had to, or he was
yeah, yeah,
gonna
yeah,
get
yeah.
fined. So he said, "Look, I'm just
Yep.
here so I won't get fined." And that's almost kind of how it feels like for a lot of men in marriage. It's like, yeah, man, I'm just here so I won't get fined. Right? It just feels like I'm just here. All of this fanfare and all of this wedding stuff is for her. It's not for me, right? And I think sometimes we've got to get into a place of we want successful marriages, if that's the goal, versus
Hmm.
just a successful wedding that we pulled off. And then it's like,
Right, right, right.
after that, it's like, okay. And then I think when you add kids on top of that, then it's like, oh, well, we have the kids. So it's like a checklist. We have the kids and we had the wedding.
Yeah. Yep.
We're good now. That's it. There's nothing else to do. Right. And the kids amplify the problem. Now, I'm
Yes,
not
they
saying the kids are a
do.
problem, people. Look,
Yeah.
I
No,
know we
you and
love
I
them.
have
They're
chatted
beautiful. They're
about this.
cute.
We
Don't get me wrong.
absolutely.
Right. But kids, when you add on top of it, it amplifies your problems by 10,000.
Well, and it
People don't want to talk about that.
puts spotlight on every weak spot in your relationship, right? Like It just it makes it harder to dismiss and deny the differences and the challenges within your dynamic.
And I think when you call that out, it's like, oh my God, you don't like kids and you don't want to have kids. And it's like,
Oh, yeah,
nah,
yeah,
I just want to be honest about it. Like, I don't like it. And again, the vulnerability to have these conversations to where what can having kids do to this relationship?
yeah. Mhm.
Can we have that honest conversation or because
Yep.
they're cute, we can't have it. Right? We got to be able to have these types of conversations about honesty because if we don't, how do we know how to combat certain things? How do we know
How
how
do
to
we, yeah, how do we
how?
prepare?
How?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's as if these problems don't
Denying won't
exist.
help. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, oh,
Denying
these
isn't
problems don't
preparation.
exist. Oh,
Hmm.
everything's gonna be the kids are gonna come and everything's gonna be beautiful. Like we're gonna take photos. We're gonna do the of the cards that we're gonna send for the holidays. Everything's gonna be great. And then it's like, yes, you're doing the things, right?
Yeah.
But your home life is atrocious. Your marriage
Mhm.
is an atrocity. You're in mess, right? But you're on a Christmas card, right? Like, and the babies, they're just great, and it looks good for everyone else, right?
Everyone else.
But internally, in the reality of the circumstances, it's not, and it's because there's none of these conversations happening. It's almost
Well, it's like
offensive if you have
insurance.
them.
Well, I was going to say, so it's like insurance, right? Like we pay insurance with the hopes of never using it, right? Like that's the goal. That's the goal. And so, what does it look like to have the conversations through the lens of they are insurance in essence, right? So, have the conversations with the hopes that that helps avoid the issues. And it's the resistance to having the conversation. I mean, this is what I do with couples is I work to help couples prepare their relationship for that transition from
Hmm.
partners to parents. But it's true that there is not enough focus in the casual kind of social connections of having the actual conversation that leaves everybody feeling like they are seen and heard and prepared for what that shift looks like.
And you know what these conversations sound like when it comes to people having kids? Do you want to have kids? Yes. Okay, great. Well, how many? Two? Oh, me too. Okay, great. What kind of names? Oh, I don't know. You name off some girl names, some boy names. Oh, I like that. I don't like that. Okay. Oh, that's good. We're on the same page. Like we're on the same page. Like this is my person. We're on the same. This
Right,
it's
right.
magic. It is here. We're good. And it's like, for me, I'm like, I don't, that may not be that the conversation might need to be a little further, right? Right?
Well,
In terms
yeah.
of just like,
Mhm.
well, date nights. Do we value that? If we are, well, how are we going to make that happen? What's going to happen if we don't have
Absolutely.
date nights, right? What's going to do we want to travel? If we want to travel solo with the child, without a child, how is that going to affect us, right? It's a lot of these conversations, right? How is the my questions always are, how is the relationship going to survive this part, right? And
Hmm.
because it's going to present a lot of different stresses. We've had this
Yeah.
conversation postpartum, right?
Well,
Both
right.
men and women can have it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right? Do we know enough about it to prepare for it? I don't know, right? This probably wasn't even the topic of conversation. It's more so,
No.
oh, we're gonna try. We're gonna have fun trying. We're gonna have like, you
Absolutely.
know,
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
right.
Yes.
But we're not really actively having other conversations about, okay, well, yes, once we have them, it's great and it's beautiful. We take the pictures and postcards, great. But what happens after that, right? What
Mhm.
happens in between? What happens, there's kids getting sick. There's all of these things that have happened,
All
right?
of those
Like,
things. Yeah.
how is our marriage going to survive or our relationship? How is that going to survive these things?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that you
Yeah.
have to have all the answers, but what I'm saying is we gotta
No,
have the
no, you're
conversation. Can we have
absolutely
these
right.
conversations though?
Station. Yes,
Can we start
absolutely.
there?
Well, and to recognize that at a minimum, being able to have the awareness that these are things that could come up, right? Like
Hmm.
just at a minimum. And I think, it kind of ties in with the avoidance that we kind of see in dating, right? Like I don't want to ask the questions. I'd rather make up the answer in my head.
Mm, mm,
And so here we go, right? Like that idea of the expectations around parenting and having babies and what does all of
mm,
that look like, right? The
hmm.
social kind of narratives that men and women have internalized. Um, Things like the default expectation that around breastfeeding, right? That
Mm.
women often think, yes, I want to breastfeed, and men often think whatever you want to do, right? Like it kind of, there's a unique separation there. But I've come across people that were leaning towards bottle feeding for their babies, and their significant other was like, what do you mean you wouldn't breastfeed?
Yeah, I mean,
Right? These are conversations that
again,
it makes sense to have before you're at 35 weeks of pregnancy.
right. And I think also having to know, like knowing also, because men are like, because women make it perfectly clear, this is my body, I'm going to do what I want with it. If I want to breastfeed, I'm going to breastfeed. I'm going to do what's best for the baby, not you. So women are,
Mm-hmm.
so they always coming into, so men are like, so the wedding is for you, the baby's for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
go play
Yeah.
golf.
Mm-hmm.
Do I,
Oh,
do I have a say? Does
right.
my word
Interesting.
even matter, or is all of this just for you? And it's just
Mm,
okay. So then, hey, the wedding's for you. Whatever. The child, you obviously know much better than I for the child, right? Unless
yeah.
except for me just bringing home the money and calling it a day, you know better than I
Mm,
about anything, about
yeah.
everything, right? Because it's your body. You do.
Oh.
So where's my role?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I fit?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I just a sperm donor?
Mm,
But then you'll be
right.
mad if I'm out playing golf and you're with the baby in the morning. But you know best for everything. You know better for everything, right? So, but then I can't. So I can't
Yeah.
go play golf. I can't. I have no place here with the baby. I have no place. I have no place
Mm,
with playing golf because you're gonna be mad then, right? Because you're
yeah.
not getting any
Right.
sleep.
Right.
But you're not getting any sleep a lot of times
Oh.
because you won't let me do what I'm supposed to do, right? Because Mama
Right.
Bear, I know better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't want you to go too far though. Mama Bear though.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many different perspectives in these
So
scenarios,
many.
right? And then the resentment breeds from the women's side. I don't get enough sleep, and you're out there, and you can go to work, and you can stay with your friends for happy hour and beers and poker night, and you can, and I'm just like, and then the man's like, I resent you because guess what? I don't have a place. I don't have a place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a place in this scenario,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And every move I do is wrong.
Mm,
So I'm in solitary confinement, and I
yeah.
have no place.
Yeah.
And you have two people now who haven't had these conversations, right?
Right.
And
Yeah. So they don't have practice having, right? Like if they'd had the conversations when they were dating,
mhm,
then they would have been able to lay a little bit of a foundation as far as
mhm,
their ability to do this.
mhm,
And then when they are in a high stakes, more intense scenario,
mm,
huge transition,
mhm,
they're like, okay, listen, I'm not liking you right now. I'm not liking you right now. We know that we need to have a conversation about that. And we've been able to do that in the past. And so we know we can do it. And if they don't have that baseline, and the pattern has kind of been avoid the conversations, I'll just let her make all of the decisions for the wedding. Though it is funny that sometimes brides will say that they feel like the groom is disengaged, and it's like, but did you leave room for him? Right? Have
right.
you left room for him to be an active participant in planning?
Mhm,
Or is it that you're saying, do you want X or Y, right? Like you're giving him a controlled choice, which is not the same as giving somebody autonomy
Mm,
to say,
mm,
here's what I think, right? And to have that, right, a controlled choice. That controlled choices is a technique we use with little kids, right? Do you
mm.
want to wear the red shirt today or the blue shirt?
All right.
Controlled choice.
Right. And what if they
Because
want
if
to wear
you
the
say
brown?
to the kid, what do you, well, I know, or I was going to say they want to wear their Batman pajamas,
Right.
right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we're like, okay, red shirt, blue shirt. And so the idea of saying to somebody, I don't know, whatever, like for place settings, right? Do you want this or that? It gives somebody a sense of choice, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a controlled choice. It's not really, it's you saying, here's what I want, and you can make a selection within those confines. And
Mm-hmm.
so that becomes a difficult thing. And I often say that to people. You need to be willing to make room for your partner to show up, and that's wedding planning, that is parenting. You can't complain that your partner is never there or is not doing things or whatever it may be if we dial it back and peel back the layers, the onion. We peel back the layers and we realize that you're not leaving room for your partner to actually show up in the way that they feel inclined to show up.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you always do it best.
Yes. Well,
Right.
I mean, some
And
of that might be true.
exactly. Some of it might be, right? But that's so, but
Yes,
if you're living
it's
in a
true.
house like that, right?
Mhm.
It's almost feels like well, it is. It's almost like you're being controlled. And if you don't do it the way that this
Mhm.
person does it, then it presents itself to be like hell in the house,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because this person knows everything, right?
Mhm.
And that is problematic to any relationship, right? But you would have
Yeah,
seen these things in the dating phase if there were certain questions being asked, certain deeper level conversations
absolutely.
being asked, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And their views on, because you might have found out, oh, well, he wants his wife to bottle feed and I want to breastfeed. That could be a problem right then and there, right?
Yeah.
Especially if women, they feel strongly about certain things or whatever the case is, then
Sure.
that can be a problem, right?
Yeah.
So and then at that point, but also you hope that even that when you get to that place that you could produce that, right? Because that's a whole
Mhm.
nother conversation for another day, right?
That's right.
But
Yes.
that's a thing, right? So I think there's so many different layers to the dating phase, and I think we you know people date very superficially, right? And they fall
Well,
in
people
love
date to have
with that,
fun.
right?
Yes.
And they
No,
fall in
I
love with the
mean, you
fun.
hit it. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And as you and I both identified, right? Like we love a good party. Like having fun is fantastic, but having fun is not a sustainable way of navigating the world.
Right.
And so you need to have the depth with somebody.
Right. And I think there's a also I say a misconception of when people say, giving people grace is one thing, right? Compromising is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But that's completely different than completely, right? And you called it out earlier, where you're ignoring yourself, right?
Absolutely.
In
Yeah.
in
You can't
certain
contort
situations,
yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, grace is needed for a relationship and marriage. It definitely is,
Sure.
right? And so is compromise because two different people, right? But you don't need to lose yourself, right? And I think that's also a thing to where people end up losing themselves, building a resentment for 10, 5, 10, 20 years, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like, where do we go wrong? Or how do we get here? Well, it started in the dating phase,
A-
right? And
Absolutely.
it just snowballed 5 years,
Mhm.
10 years, kids. And then once kids come, kids get, it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm already here now. So I might as well just keep riding this thing on out until the kids turn 18, right?
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah.
and then that becomes a whole thing, right? And so it's just to me, there's a lot of alarming issues when it comes to how people date, right? And I think if we could find a way, kind of hone that in, right?
Yeah.
And begin to have open, honest, vulnerable conversations, really be naked, And I'm not saying, right, you have to be vulnerable with every single person that you meet. I'm saying
Hmm.
that if you see potential with someone, there's certain levels of conversation that you might want to have because you might want to know how they operate in certain circumstances, right? Because you'll find out a lot
Absolutely.
of people fold under pressure.
Hmm.
When real life begins to happen, sometimes they exit stage left, right? And,
Absolutely.
and you're like, what happened? But we did so many fun things and we did so much amazing things together and what and it's like again, what's important to you, right?
Right. And when the
It's
pressure
just
is on,
into you, right? And I think sometimes also, I remember what a couple, older couple told me, I think it was just last month, and they're amazing. And what they told me is you don't have to have everything fun doing together. Honestly, what you can have separate hobbies, right? And
absolutely.
and it'd be okay, right?
Yes.
And it's I rather know that this person has my back 10,000% than to have
Yeah.
us doing hiking together. Because if I have a hiking group
Absolutely.
that fulfills my hiking itch, and I know
Yes.
when stuff hits the fan, sickness, financial, all the
Job
fancy
loss. Oh,
stuff
yeah, no.
that happen,
Job loss,
they
death of
got my back,
parents, all of the things.
right? They have my
Absolutely.
back, right?
Yes.
And so at that point, it's like, again, right? Like, what is the point? What's the purpose, right?
Mhm.
Why are we doing this? What is the goal, right, of what we're doing, right? And once we figure out what those goals are, then we need to have certain conversations surrounding deeper level conversations surrounding those things. And a lot of times it would stop, not all, but a
Mm.
lot of times it would
Hmm.
stop some of the stuff that happens in the dating pool,
Oh,
right? After we
absolutely it
get too
would.
attached. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I slept with him, I slept with her, and we done met each other's, families after a month and a half, and then it's just now Thanksgiving, people are like, well, where's the person you brought in
Yeah.
September? Like, and you're like, oh
Yes.
well, right. But it's like it could have stopped
Yeah.
all of that part if we would have had certain deeper level conversations. And that's kind of what where I think we can try. It's not
Hmm.
gonna be easy because people aren't easy. But I think that's where we start doing a lot of the work, right? Question
Yeah.
for you.
Mm.
So I always tell, my friends, like people ask me all the time, like, what makes a successful relation or like what keeps you engaged? I said, I just want peace.
Mm.
People go, oh, well, happiness. And most people say, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I just want to be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
And I say, happiness is cute, right? But happiness is not sustainable. I said, because you
Mm.
could wake up happy on a Monday, somebody cuts
Yeah.
you off on the road, and you're giving them the finger and you're road raging. I'm not speaking
Yep.
from experience. I'm just saying these
It could
things can
happen
happen. It
theoretically.
could happen.
Theoretically.
It could, right?
Yeah.
Happiness is fleeting. It's just not sustainable. But everybody wants to be what? Happy, 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 happy,
Happy.
happy, right?
Yeah. Of
And
course.
it's like that's not realistic though. Is
Mhm.
anything you've ever had? I don't care if it's children. I don't care if it's a business. I don't care if it's your parents. What any long-lasting relationship that you have built or you have was never always happy. I
Happy.
don't care what
Right.
it is. I don't care
Yeah.
what
Of
it is. You can have the best business in the world. At some point, it gave you a headache. Period.
course. Yeah.
Right? So for me, when it comes to the dating world and relationship and marriage, to me, I just want peace. In terms of
Mm.
now, life may not always be peaceful, right? But
Sure.
but
Sure.
even in conflict or even in strife or whatever the case is, I'm looking in the relationship and I'm still at peace. I may not
Right.
like you right now, but I'm at peace.
Yeah.
I like you in 4 hours. That's fine.
Well, yeah, I was going to say in that internal sense, right? That's the challenge is that we are just as humans, we are so conditioned to let the external variables, right, that external exterior landscape dictate our internal experience. And it's like, no, we need to reverse that. We need to be able to have a solid internal sense of self
Mm-hmm.
so that as the landscape changes, as we have happy times, sad times, frustrating times, whatever it may be, we are not feeling like we're being ping-ponged around
Mm.
because of the changes. And so that speaks to having that internal centeredness for yourself, but also for the greater context of your relationship. So then when you are having a point of conflict with your significant other, it's not that external point of conflict does not define your relationship. You have that solid sense of peace within the context of the definition of your relationship and your connection. And so then you're in a good place to tolerate and navigate through whatever the challenge is. But unfortunately, too many people navigate through, I make this much money, therefore I'm happy. I drive this car, therefore I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy. I have this significant other, that's why I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when the relationship ends or your salary gets cut or you get, you need to find a new job or your car breaks down, it's like your happiness is at risk because you've attached it, you've given your power away, you've attached it
Mm-hmm.
to something else.
Mm. That's good. That's real good. I think, the word happiness is just sometimes I just feel like it's overused. It's just, all right,
Mm-hmm.
happy, 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 joy, joy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right? I just want to be
Mm-hmm.
at peace. I think
Yeah.
that part of life is when you get to a place of peace, I
Mm-hmm.
think and that's the sweet spot, right? When you could say, I'm in this
Yeah.
relationship, it's not perfect. I'm not happy all the time, but I'm at peace
Mm-hmm.
and I'm good with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's to me, that's the goal for me. I think that's to me
Yeah.
that
Right.
is a goal for me.
There it is. That's the goal.
It's just to have a peaceful relationship, right? And never perfect, never always happy.
Nope.
That's fake, but peaceful.
Well,
I
and I
because
was going to
it
say,
can't
so
always be
let's,
happy. Hmm.
and let's take it that step another layer for the onion.
Yeah, let's do it.
You need to have that sense of peace for your
Hmm.
relationship with yourself
Absolutely.
before you can have that within the context of a relationship with someone else. And that's
Absolutely.
the thing that, we look at and we at some point we could do a whole deep dive into dating apps
Yes.
and how that impacts modern dating. The idea that there's always a dopamine hit, there's always someone else, right? Like it's hard to invest too much time, effort, and energy into exploring a connection with someone because there's always another connection that feels like it's available.
Mm.
The idea that I say to people, like in the dark ages when I used to go to a bar,
Dark
right? My little
ages.
local town, right? Like off I'd go, Huntington Beach Brewery.
Hmm.
And the only people that you met were the people who were there, right? When you
Yeah.
go somewhere, the only people you go to the grocery store, the only people you meet are the people that are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Within the context of dating apps, we're meeting people, not
Hmm.
truly, but we are
Hmm.
connecting with people from whatever, a 10, 50, 150-mile radius. So we feel like we have more choice. And so that doesn't fit with the idea of let me take this choice and really assess if it's a good fit.
Mm.
It doesn't matter. Here's my next choice. And so I think that that is another piece that fits with people not having a sense of awareness
Mm.
because it's like, here's this superficial connection. Here's one person that I can have fun with. Oh, it's not as much fun. All right, that's fine.
Hmm.
I can just find my next fun person.
And to take that a step further, now that's just dating apps, right?
Yeah.
If we want to add social media on top to that,
Oh,
right? There's
absolutely.
so much more access,
Absolutely.
right? So, if there's lots, let's just say, on my social media page, there's a bunch of people, right? Nice, eligible, men who view out, this conversation, right? And there could be like 600 of them, right?
Yeah.
Who might say,
Yeah.
you know what? All I have to do is click on the video, click Jan Johnson Wall's page, hit follow. She accepts. I'm going to send a message because
Hmm.
I like it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? And that is a powerful thing. And now, if you do that with TikTok, you do that with Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn now, right? And
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing
Yes.
that on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, but people doing that on LinkedIn,
But
right?
yeah, no,
So,
absolutely.
so now you have so many different avenues that you can connect with
So many.
people and somebody that you
Hmm.
might see that you like, right?
Hmm.
And it could be a complete stranger, and you're like, oh, she's beautiful, he's handsome. Oh,
Yeah.
follow, message.
Hmm.
It's that easy, right?
That
To
easy.
but it's easier to meet people, but it seems to be harder to sustain them.
Oh, I was just going to say quality versus quantity, right?
Hmm.
Large number of people doesn't mean that they're quality connections.
Correct.
And it's difficult for people. I mean, as humans, we are wired to look towards what we find attractive.
Of
And
course.
so that's why social media works so well. And that's why online dating works in the way that it works, but it doesn't seem to offer people the satisfaction that they're seeking with a quality
Hmm.
relationship.
Yep.
So you and I need to create our own dating app, I guess is the process that
You know
has
what's
come to
funny?
light.
It's funny. I was talking to my girlfriend about this maybe a couple years ago. I was like, I want to create a dating app. And I had all these ideas. And then
Yeah,
I was like, this is exhausting too.
it is.
Oh, because of the way I wanted to do it, it was so
Yeah.
layered. And I was
Hmm.
like, this is, I don't know. But
Hmm.
we can
Right?
definitely talk about that for sure.
We could
We
listen.
can,
I was gonna say it's not a bad idea,
it is
right? To
not.
really look at it through the lens of recognizing
Hmm.
how do you prioritize almost narrowing the scope, right? When you get onto a dating app now, it's like, what are you looking for?
Hmm.
And it is something casual, right? Like something committed. Like
Hmm.
there's a whole range. What
There
would it
is.
look like to create an app that is focused on only people who are looking for, and I guess whatever, like Tinder used to do this, right? Like Tinder was known as a hookup app.
It
And now
was.
they have worked very hard to, expand their reputation, but it's still the default mode that, socially people think of Tinder as being a very specific
It
purpose.
is. I think for, I think you need to charge. I think there
Hmm.
has to be a subscription or something for it,
Yeah.
even if it's not much. But like sometimes to get rid of these scammers and I don't know. Like, I've looked up some things. It just seems like people take seriously things they pay for.
Yes.
Right? Free.
And
I don't know. Free is
it's
like
still,
swipe left, swipe
uh,
right.
it's, all of it is true because there are some higher end apps with higher end price tags that still seem to offer low quality options for people. Like
Mm-hmm.
even the people who are paying for apps, the current apps that are available, even the
Mm-hmm.
people who are paying for the current apps still seem to be having the same kind of frustration.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Interesting.
There
But
are
is it more
not,
so catfishing or is it scamming or is it just they're not finding?
right.
Because I want to
Well,
eliminate a lot of the like the catfishing. I want to have safety, right? I would want to have
mhm,
safety involved,
absolutely.
less scammers,
Absolutely.
less, nonsense and catfishing and stuff like that. I want,
All of it.
that's what I would want, for something like that. So, that's something that we may have to talk about. We may have to talk about that.
Listen,
We'll see what's
there's
going on.
a whole course that I feel like I've got in mind to be able to help people identify that catfish kind of piece.
Hmm.
Right? Like what, and also I think being able to figure out what does it look like to help people understand how they can accurately convey what it is that they're looking for within the context of an app,
And
right? How can you be intentional with that?
and I had like, and you know what? I'm gonna tell you offline because I don't want to
Okay.
taking my ideas. But there are certain aspects I would want to, if I was to do that, and there were certain aspects I would want in there, that
Yeah.
we'll definitely talk about.
Okay.
But you
All
know,
right.
but listen, I think we've kind of we dug in a lot on dating.
Yes.
And
Right.
I think, the people can learn a lot from you, and learn a lot
Thank you.
about, you know, the issues with dating, how we can
Mhm.
make it better. And I encourage, anyone who has watched this video and have learned something, or has had an epiphany, to share it. Share it with someone that you think can benefit
Mhm.
from it. I know that is, um, who Jane Johnson Wall is. She wants to impact people, and she has. I know she's impacted myself. And that's what she does. Like, she is a walking wisdom. Like, she's like the walking Wikipedia of mental health, perinatal,
Thank you.
relationships. She's, as soon as you talk to her, it's like knowledge just flows.
Mhm.
I bought a shirt because I went to Nashville last week, and it said,
Fun.
when whiskey goes in, wisdom comes out. And I had to buy that shirt, but
That's awesome.
that's how I feel about you. I feel like as soon as
Thank
you
you.
open your mouth, wisdom comes out, and it impacts people. So, definitely, tell everyone where they can find you. And I would suggest, if anyone is out there that can get on her calendar, and invest in yourself, right? I think that's what we always talk about, is investing in yourself.
Mhm.
If you're in the States, that she does her therapy, get on a calendar, invest in yourself. If you have a family, or
Yeah.
looking to have a family, get on her calendar,
Mm.
because she is a wealth of knowledge, and you won't regret it. But please tell the people
Thank
where,
you.
where they can follow you, and get and
So, yeah,
look.
a few different places, right?
Yeah.
JaneJohnsonWall.com. So that is
Hmm.
truly for my focused private practice, focused on working with women, even through issues such as dating. I'm a wealth of information. Yourmompod.com for all things focused on perinatal mental health and the transition to parenthood from partners to parents. And then with Kelsey, the motherloadcollective.com. And that's where we have just so many resources to support families in navigating the pressures that come with taking care of kids and transitioning again from partners to parents.
Wonderful, wonderful. And all of those links, as always, will be right there in the bottom, in the body,
Awesome.
of this episode. So, as always, Doctor, it is an honor
Thank
and
you.
a pleasure, and a privilege to always have you on the show. And thank you for always being willing, and thank you for always imparting your wisdom upon this show. And like I said, you will forever, as long as I do this show, you will
I
forever
love it.
and
Thank you for
always
having me.
be welcome. And I appreciate you. And this
I
has been,
appreciate you.
thank you. And this has been another episode of Conversations of the Heart. As always, it's your boy T2. We will see you next week. Take care.